TechNet Saturday at 7 p.m. W5FC. W5FC. It's a 2-minute countdown. 2 minutes to Skynet. If you'd like to join us for Skynet, you can check in before Skynet begins electronically by going to W5FC.org. Click on the hot link, and you can register for Skynet right now. Right now, we've got 4 different people that are already registered through the electronic link. This is KF5JHA. Skynet starts in just 1 minute.
Mr. Chairman, I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
That sounds like the beginning of Skynet. Does anybody need to use a repeater before we begin the 9 p.m. Skynet? Good evening, everyone. This is Kilo Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel Alpha. My name is Chaz, and I'll be your net control for this session of the DARC, that's Dallas Amateur Radio Club, Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night since 2012 at 9 p.m. It will last until 10:30. Concerning the subject of astronomy, our purpose is to help people become more familiar with the nighttime, the daytime, sky, and astronomy, and space, and those kind of related topics. This net is open to all amateur radio operators interested in this topic, and we encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority or emergency traffic may enter the net at any time by using the # sign, break, and then your call sign. Is there any emergency or priority traffic? This is a directed net. Please do not transmit without direction from net control. That would be me. And stations are reminded to ID at the end of their transmissions like this. This is Kilo Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel Alpha. This weekly net operates on a frequency of 146.88 megahertz with a private line tone of 110.9. Check-ins via Echolink are also possible using the W5FC-R radio station ID or Echolink mode 37247. You can also visit the YouTube website to listen in by going to the link found on W5FC.org. You can now also check in to the net electronically by going to the club website. Go to W5FC.org, look for tonight's Skynet announcement, and click on the hot link to check in. We can acknowledge you on the air, and you don't need to worry about checking in via voice, but we will continue to do that too over the air as well as on Echolink. All amateur radio operators are welcome. You need not be a member of any amateur radio club to participate. Tonight's topics, astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio-video links are available online. Again, go to W5FC.org. Right now, for the complete list Remember to tell others about this popular net. This net, Skynet, is approximately 90 minutes long and is structured in several different parts. We're going to rearrange some of the orders tonight. The first one is general announcements, then Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events, then National Space Society events, discussion topic of the evening, space launches of the week, and visible satellite passages over the next couple of days. What is up? What about's going on in the sky? Space exploration and space history, Constellation of the week, and then astronomical questions and answers, and then a 73 round. All amateurs licensed to transmit on this frequency are invited to check in. We currently have the following people that are signed in electronically. Hang on, let me get to that screen. We have our production person. Yep, he has a production studio in Corpus Christi. His name is Tom, AE5ICX. Yep, he's got a flagship there. Lots of computer screens and all sorts of things. Oh, I'm checked in too over there. Remember, I'm KF5JJ Chaz. I also have a cat that wanders around. Hopefully he doesn't pounce on the keyboard tonight. I'm in Mesquite. NT5TM, Tony, he's in Bird City. He's on radio. AA5AH, Robert, he's in Richardson. N5BB, Bill, he's in Irving. And NV5F, Virginia, she's in Fort Worth. Those are the people that have electronically checked in already on Skynet. Okay, let me see. Oops, I may have dropped out. Let me try this again. So, what we need to do is have the people with short time or low power check-ins come now with your call sign slowly, phonetically, your name and your location. The first three people, please come now, that are short time check-ins or low power.
Kilo, Golf 5, Uniform, Foxtrot, Romeo, Jacob and Farmers Branch, short time and low power, no comment.
Jacob from Farmers Branch, thank you very much. Well, that must be a short list for the short time and low power check-ins. All right, so we'll do the regular radio check-ins. We'll get to Echolink in a few minutes. So this is just radio check-ins only. The first three people, slowly, phonetically with your call sign, then your name and your location, please. Come now.
This is November 5, Oscar Foxtrot, Clay, Whiskey. This is Whiskey 5, Bacon, Letter, Tomato, W5, ELT, Bill, Charlotte.
This is Whiskey, Bravo, 4, Mike, Foxtrot, India,
W5FC. Ted, Dallas, low power.
Thank you. I've got 3 people that checked in now. That would be N5OF, Clay. He's a Mesquite. I've got Bill, N5BLT, taking lettuce, tomato. He's in Farmers Branch. I've got WB4MFI, Ted, a regular. He's in Dallas. I don't know how he's low power because he's just really strong into the repeater. All right, the next 3 people, please come slowly with your call sign and then phonetically, and then your name and your location.
This is Whiskey 5 Golf Uniform Sierra. It's Gus, far northeast Dallas.
Kilo Charlie 5, Mike, Papa Oscar, Jamie, North Dallas.
This could be a slow night. Gus, we've got you checked in. He's in far northeast Dallas. He's one of the presenters tonight. And Jamie, we've got you in North Dallas as well. All right, let's do this one more time. If you'd like to check into Skynet tonight, please come now, slowly, phonetically, with your call sign and your name and your location.
Kilo Foxtrot 5 Zulu Bravo Lima, Bill, Farmers Branch.
Oh, our illustrious president of the DARC. Welcome. So we've snagged another person. We're up to, let me see, 11. We're up to at least 11 people so far. Let me go over to Echolink and see if we can get some people checked in. I'm going to look over here. Let's see now. We've got Tony, NT5PM. Bill, we've already got you checked in. I think that was electronic check-in, and I think we've covered everyone on Echolink now. Okay, let me do any mode, any check-in that you'd like to do. Come now with your call sign phonetically, your name, and your location.
This is Kilo Golf 5 Whiskey Victor Lima, James in Carrollton.
All right, let's get started with Skynet. Do we have any general announcements for this evening's net? These could be ham, astronomical, space, or of general interest to licensed hams. Come now with your call sign if you'd like to make an announcement, a general announcement. Oh, I was waiting for our regular NT5PM about his regular announcement. If that was the case, I didn't hear him. So let's go on to announcements. There's an AMSAT, that would be a radio amateur satellite group that meets 3 different times, 3 different nets in the area. Some on Tuesday nights, some is the national AMSAT, some on Echolink. You have to be registered for Echolink to do this. There's an AMSAT East and an AMSAT West. One's on the this repeater, one's on the Arlington repeater. So I'm not going to give you the details. You can go to W5FC to get the details of all these nets. There's nets on Monday nights. Oh my goodness! If you're hungry, Ham Fix the Nets is on the first and third Monday. Emergency communication net is on the second Monday. These are all at I believe 7 o'clock p.m. The fourth Monday of the month is a geek net, and the fifth Monday of each month, if there is one, is a surprise net. Can't tell you what it is because it's a surprise, and there's been some interesting ones. Yes. Petneck is on Saturday nights. We have lots of things going on Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Skynet is from 9 until 10:30. That's what you're involved with right now. After Skynet, if you want to stay up longer, there's an Afterglow movie review. Yep, Saturday night from about 10:30 until midnight. And on Sundays, on the first and third Sundays, the Dallas Amateur Radio Club has a meeting on the air called MODA. Daily, every day, the Amateur Radio Relay League, ARRL net, National Traffic System net, happens at 6:30 every night. It also has one on the WA5CKF repeater. I believe that's on Irving on 146.72 megahertz at net 9:30 in the evening. Okay, let me see. Let's get to a description of what the Afterglow movie is going to be for tonight. We have the illustrious Tom in Corpus Christi. He's, like I said, the production program. Yep. If you want to see the video version of Skynet, he's running it over on YouTube. So, Tom, would you like to tell us about the Afterglow movie tonight?
Oh, Chaz, you know I lived for this part. Yes, I'll be more than happy to. Here's my highly accurate description of tonight's movie. The director waited silently until his inbox dinged with, "You've got mail." He closed his eyes, double-clicked on the title. "A real cinematic bomb makes its way online!" Exclamation point. He looked to his publicity guy and shouted out the next order. "Well, the long-awaited review from the Greenville Daily Shopper is in, and their reviewer, the savvy shopper, has made their opinions known." He read the review out loud. "I watched the movie on my phone while buying avocados. Boy, I'll tell you, several times I was distracted and I ended up buying some which weren't quite ripe enough. I give this movie a 3 out of 10, as normally a film like this, which I'd simply ignore while shopping." The director knew his goose was cooked. Well, some of the viewers said they tried cooking their goose while watching this movie, but were distracted by loud noises during the unintentional action scene, ruining the meal and, of course, their substandard interest in their film simultaneously. Well, if we changed the name of the film, calling it something that vaguely sounded like an exciting video game, the promoter, the director agreed, and before the next review came out, they changed the name to something not even related to the film's actual plot. Join us for Dominion, the last Star Warrior from 2015, an alien invasion story where there's no Star Warrior, much less a last one, tonight at 10:30 p.m. If you want to get a sneak peek of this wonderful turkey, you can go to the club website. You'll find Dominion, the last Star Warrior 2015, and click on that hot link and you'll find the movie there. I don't know what else to tell you. It's something. Back to you, Chaz, KE5, ICX.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. Let's see now. I can't remember where I left off on the electronic check-ins. I believe I had Virginia, NV5F from Fort Worth. After that, Brian and Terrell, K9AHO. These are all over-the-air people. Antonio, let's see now, AG9SO, I believe. He's in Dallas. Travers, KI5PGM. He's in McKinney. I think I've got caught up on the online folks. All right. If there's somebody else that would like to check into Skynet, please come now with your call sign phonetically, slowly, your name, and your location if you'd like to check into Skynet before we continue.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James in North Carrollton.
James, I'm sorry. I did hear you. I wrote it down. I'm sorry I didn't acknowledge you. I apologize for that. You're on the list. Thank you once again, James. All right, let me see. I've got to scroll down the script here. Yeah, I'm running 3 different screens and the radio at the same time, so that's fun. Oh, let's do some other announcements. The Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas event, when you can look through a telescope. That's my piece that I get to talk about. So on February the 27th is the next Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas Club meeting. The meeting will be held at 7:30 p.m. in person at the University of Texas at Dallas and also held on Zoom. The featured speaker is going to be Donald Fickman, and his topic is going to be the Library Telescope Program. Now, the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas hosts Saturday night public observing sessions in the area. Skynet was picked to be on Saturday night, so there could be an opportunity for live reports from the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas public observing sessions. But tonight, which is the 5th Saturday of the month, there are no public observing that is scheduled by the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas. You can check the TAS website by going to texasastro.org for up-to-date information and details about meetings and public observing sessions. The next segment we've got is the National Space Society events and activities. This is going to be done by Bill, N5BB. This is KF5JH8. It's your net for the moment.
Thank you, Chaz. This is N5BB. Okay. I happen to be the National Space Society North Texas Chapter Vice President and Membership Director. The big news the National Space Society is following is the upcoming launch of the NASA Artemis II crewed mission with a lunar flyby. NASA will have a simulated launch window that starts at 9 p.m. Monday, February the 2nd. So this coming Monday is the start of the simulation for the launch window. This was delayed from about a week ago due to weather. This test, which is only a test, is expected to go until approximately 1 a.m. on Friday, 1 a.m. on Tuesday, February the 3rd. So it'll be from 9 p.m. Monday until 1 a.m. on Tuesday. That's a simulation. The earliest possible actual launch of the Artemis II mission will be on Sunday, February the 8th. So a week from tomorrow. Very exciting. The Artemis II mission is slated to go around the moon and come back to Earth. It will not land. There will be 4 astronauts. And when it's at its furthest, as it goes around the moon, furthest in its trajectory, the astronauts will be further from the Earth than any humans have ever been from the Earth. That's very exciting. The National Space Society is a nonprofit group based in the U.S. which is interested in the exploration and development of space. And in the creation of a spacefaring civilization. Our local National Space Society chapter website is ntx.nss.org. Our group also has an active Facebook page. Just type National Space Society of North Texas into the search box. The North Texas chapter of the National Space Society meets at 3:30 p.m. on the second Sunday afternoon of each month. Our last chapter meeting was at Spring Creek Barbecue on Highway 183 in Irving on Sunday afternoon, January the 11th. The presentation was Space 2026, a preview of the NASA commercial, space, and international launches planned in 2026. Our next meeting will be on Sunday, February the 8th, which could be the same day as the Artemis II mission launches. So it'll be very exciting if our meeting is on the same day as the Artemis II launch. We might be able to, depending on when the launch window opens up, we might be able to see the launch on our mobile devices from our meeting location in Irving at Spring Creek Barbecue. On the last Friday evening of each month, from 6 to 8 p.m., the National Space Society North Texas chapter sponsors a social event called Space Rendezvous at Cheddar's Restaurant, 700 West Highway 635 in Irving. You do not need to be a member of any organization to attend. The January Space Rendezvous was held last night, and 6 people attended. We discussed the upcoming Artemis II launch and other topics. The next Space Rendezvous will be held on Friday, February 27th, always the last Friday of the month. The local National Space Society chapter is sponsoring, just a minute, somebody's calling, hang on. I'm sorry. Somebody called a few minutes ago about Skynet, and I wanted to make sure it wasn't a Skynet call. The local National Space Society chapter is sponsoring space-related special award prizes at the Dallas Regional Science and Engineering Fair at Fair Park in Dallas on Saturday, February the 28th. So we're going to be there, and we've done this for several years. We'll be giving out prizes for first, second, third place for projects that have some relationship with humans, what humans do in space. They're normally not astronomy prizes. They're ones around things that humans do, launching spacecraft or something of that nature. Or food in space, or there's lots of different things that they're not all engineering. Some of them are biology. The big National Space Society event each year is the International Space Development Conference, ISDC. ISDC 2026 will be held in Tysons Corner, Virginia, which is not far from Washington, D.C. The dates are June 4th to 7th, 2026. If you have any questions about the National Space Society, please contact Bill, N5BB, it's November 5, Bravo, Bravo, at his QRZ listed email address or at space@byrom.net, SPACE@BYROM.net. There's a lot of things going on with events humans are doing in space this year, so it's going to be very, very exciting for the National Space Society. That's all I've got. This is N5BB, back to net.
Thank you, Bill. I propose when the launch happens, we need to have an informal net that we call on this repeater, as long as it's not conflicting with something else, so that we can talk about the launch and all the intricacies about what's going on with that. That's my proposal. So a week from tomorrow, let's get together. Anyway, all right, the next thing on Skynet is our feature topic of the evening. That is chosen by your net control station. That would be me. So here we go. Slide Master, our Slide Master is Tom. He's our production person. Slide number 2. I'm fascinated with our closest star, the Sun. As an example, I've presented the 1859 Carrington event information almost every year in the fall at its anniversary of each year. Something interesting came brought to my attention on the website spaceweather.com on January the 7th, and I wanted to share that with all of you. Let me quote the information from spaceweather.com. Here we go. Planetary alignments and the solar cycle, that's the title. This week, that was in January 7th, Jupiter and Venus are on opposite sides of the Sun. To some researchers, this geometry is more than just a celestial coincidence. A small but persistent body of research suggests that planetary alignments help regulate the solar cycle. A decade ago, the authors set out to find a viable mechanism for which the solar cycle could be synchronized by tidal forces of the planets, says Frank Stefani, a physicist at the HZDAR Research Center in Germany. These forces are known to be very small, yet have developed a model that shows remarkable agreement with the observed solar activity. I continue the quote. This is a controversial topic. Some researchers, like Stefani, have focused their careers on it, while others vehemently oppose. So the idea refuses to go away, mainly because Jupiter, Venus, and the Earth form repeatedly alignment patterns with a characteristic period of 11 years, which is similar to the average length of the solar cycle. Mainstream solar physicists hold that the tides of Venus and Jupiter are too weak to affect solar activity. Jupiter's tides on Earth are 1 million times weaker than the Moon's tides, and Venus's tides are even weaker than Jupiter's. How could these absurdly small forces affect the Sun? Slide Master, slide number 3, please. In a 2019 study led by Stefani, suggested a way. The Sun's inner magnetic dynamo is exquisitely sensitive to external perturbations. Regular lapse from planetary tides could nudge the dynamo into an 11-year pattern, like the metronome keeping up to a piano player on time. Critics note that the convective noise in the Sun's interior, that's the picture that you see, dwarfs tidal stresses, yet the coincidence is hard to ignore. Stefani's more recent work focuses on magneto-Rossby waves in the solar dynamo. Our latest model shows that the natural periods of these waves fit amazingly well to the two planet string tides of Venus, Earth, and Jupiter. 118 days for the Venus-Jupiter, 199 days for the Earth-Jupiter, and 292 days for the Venus-Earth connections. These spring tides do not cause the solar cycle, clarifies Stefani. They help synchronize it. Tidal beat periods match several of the well-known cycles of the solar activity, including the famous Schwabe cycle of the 11 years, the quasi-biennial oscillation of 1.7 years, and the Susti-Veriz cycle of 193 years. Again, critics have a counter-argument. With so many cycles and harmonics to play with, you can always find a match. Indeed, this might be true. I continue the quote, but Stefani has a prediction. The present alignment is happening only 40 to 60 days before the expected peak of the quasi-biennial oscillation. If the alignment excites the magneto-Rossby waves, and our model predicts, we might expect a higher probability of strong solar activity 40 to 60 days from now. Now, that was at the beginning of this month, January. Okay, I'm going to end the quote now. So that's the end of the quote from spaceweather.com. Now, if all this happens from now until, well, actually from the middle of February through the middle of March, we could see a big increase in the solar activity if this prediction comes true. This could also result in an opportunity for seeing aurora. We've seen aurora several times over the last couple of years from North Texas. We could have seen it about a month or so ago, but unfortunately it was cloudy those nights for us here. So you can get your cameras ready. Keep looking on the website spaceweather.com for updates. And maybe we'll see some aurora sometime soon. Wow. So we rearranged the order of our usual Skynet. We're going to give me a break for a few minutes. We're going to go to space launches for the week. And also after that, visible satellite passages. Tom, KE5ICX is going to do both of those in sequence. Then you'll get back to me. This is KF5JHA. Handing it over to Tom.
Well, thank you, Chaz. This is KE5ICX, and I'm going to do my two segments. Usually they are at the end, but we're going to do them towards the beginning of the net. The first one is space launches for the week. This information is available at spaceflightnow.com/launch schedule. Just plug in your longitude and latitude or your city location, and it will pop out everything you need to know on satellites. The two that I feature are the International Space Station and the Chinese Tiangong. But there are many. Oh, wait a minute. That's the next section. Sometimes you get a little crazy. No, this is the launch schedule. This is for launches coming up. So scratch what I just said. Boy, let me tell you. When it's out of order, it's out of order. So the first one we have is QZS-7. This is launching from Yoshinobu Launch Complex in the Kagoshima Space Center in Japan. H3 launch vehicle, a rocket developed through a partnership between Mitsubishi and JAXA, will launch the Mitsubishi No. 7 Quasi-Zenith satellite system. This will be the launch of the H3 rocket. No other details, unfortunately. We have a Falcon 9 launching on February 1st, Starlink 6-103. This will be from SLC-40 at Cape Canaveral. 29 Starlink V2 mini-optimized satellites will go into Earth orbit. The first stage booster will return for the fifth time. This one's 1095, by the way, and will land on the drone ship a Shortfall Gravitas. We have February 2nd, another Falcon 9 with a bunch of Starlink 17-32. This one from Vandenberg out in California at SLC-4E. 24 Starlink V2 mini-optimized satellites for low Earth orbit. The first stage booster, B-1071, will be launching for the, are you ready for this, 31st time, and will land on a drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You, positioned in the Pacific Ocean. February 4th, Falcon 9 Starlink 6-104, 29 Starlink V2 mini-optimized satellites. Sound familiar? First stage booster, 1077, will be landing for the 26th time on a drone ship. Just read the instructions in the Atlantic Ocean. February 6th, another Falcon 9 Starlink 1733, everybody together. This will be from SLC-4E at Vandenberg. This will be 25 Starlink V2 optimized satellites. The first stage booster, B-1088, will land for the 13th time on, Of Course I Still Love You, in the Pacific Ocean. Then finally, February 6th, 7th, overnight, Space Launch Systems Artemis II, at least that's the plan, will launch from Launch Complex 39B at Kennedy Space Center. The launch system rocket will launch the Orion spacecraft on the Artemis II mission, the first crewed flight of the program. NASA astronauts Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, and Christina Koch, along with Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen, will perform a lunar flyby during a roughly 10-day mission that will see their capsule, Integrity, splash down in the Pacific Ocean. Those dates are still fluid. Hopefully we'll see that launch around that time. I think it has been updated. There may be a one-day delay. Next we have what I was starting in my auto mode, visible satellite passages. Somehow or another I went into that mode, but this is the next section. This information is available at heavensabove.com. This is where you can plug in your longitude and latitude and find out accurate information on these passes. The two space stations in orbit that we feature are the International one that is in orbit. The brightest, there are a couple of really good satellite passes coming up. We have the next one available for the ISS will be February 1st. That'll be a minus 1.1 magnitude at 18:58 in the evening. It reaches its highest point at 22 degrees at 19:01, and it'll fall to the south at 19:03. Tiangong has a couple, let me see here. Well, actually, one good one. We missed some of the really good ones yesterday and today, unfortunately, so I have to go forward in time. But February 7th is a good pass, minus 1.0 magnitude. This is at 19:36 in the evening out of the southwest. It reaches its highest point at 19:38 at 34 degrees, and it'll fall into shadow at the same time. Now, the thing about both these stations is that they are gigantic. Even Tiangong is great passes, very easy to see. You could mistake them as aircraft, so because they are so bright, but they are quite interesting to see as they go over and as they change brightness. So that's what I've got. I'll send it back to Chaz. This is KE5 ICX, Tom in Corpus.
Thank you, Tom. Once again, good evening, everyone. This is Kilo Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel Alpha, Chaz. I'm your net control station for this version or edition of Skynet. So let me see. I have a new sign-in over here on the electronic sign-in. KN5EEE. Al, he's in Allen. So that's a new check-in. I've got you covered. Let me see. Are there any, I don't see anybody else on Echolink right now. Are there any other radio transmissions that would like to sign into Skynet? Come now with your call sign slowly, phonetically, and your name and your location if you'd like to sign in to this edition of Skynet. Well, I think I've got about 18 sign-ins for tonight, so here we go. We'll continue on with the next segment of Skynet, which is called What's Up. That's my segment that I always do every Saturday night. It's about what's going on astronomically in the sky. So slide master, slide number 4. We do call this segment of Skynet What's Up because it's all about what's gone on astronomically over the last couple of weeks and what will take place over the next couple of weeks and beyond. Slide master, slide number 5. We've talked about the predicted nova of the star T Corona Borealis, which may erupt at any time. It is currently at a brightness around 10th magnitude. I just checked it a little bit ago, and it's much too faint to be seen with just your two eyes. T Corona Borealis was supposed to go nova more than a year ago. One recent prediction was for the star T Corona Borealis to go nova on November the 10th, 2025. Well, that didn't happen. So another predicted is for June 25th of this year. Now, when it does go nova, T Corona Borealis could become as bright as the North Star, which is second magnitude. I can see the North Star with just my two eyes from a very light polluted location here in Mesquite, Texas. Slide master, slide number 6, please. Now, this image of the sun was taken just a few days ago on January 28th. I snagged this image from spaceweather.com. I already talked about that website, didn't I? The large sunspot complexes on the sun are so large at times, all you need to use is your solar eclipse glasses to see them. The sun is near its 11-year solar maximum. We're not quite sure when the solar maximum will occur until after it happens. I presented information on the solar cycle just a couple of months ago on Skynet. Slide master, slide number 7, please. The first quarter moon was on January the 25th, a few days ago. So the current phase of the moon is a waxing gibbous. On January the 29th, the moon was at perigee, which is the point in the moon's orbit that is closest to the Earth, a distance of 365,871 kilometers. Full moon is on tomorrow. The third quarter moon phase is on February the 9th. Okay, let me see. Where was I? Oh, on slide master, slide number 8. On January the 31st, this morning, was the conjunction of the moon and Jupiter and the bright star Pollux in the early northwestern morning sky. Did any of you see that? I saw it last evening, but it was visible they were much closer together in this morning sky. Slide master, slide number 9. On February the 2nd, the moon will occult the bright star Regulus in the evening sky. An occultation is when the moon moves in between the Earth and a more distant object, like a planet or a star. Regulus will disappear behind the moon at around 7:54 p.m. and reappear around 8:16 p.m. That's on February the 2nd. That's in just a couple of days. These times are for the event at Brookhaven campus of Dallas College. Times will vary for other locations. Now, a pair of binoculars or a telescope will enhance your view of this event, but you might be able to see this just with your two eyes. Slide master, slide number 10, please. On February the 7th is the conjunction of the moon and the bright star Spica in the early morning southeastern morning sky. And again, when I'm talking about these things, you'll see the video pictures of those on the YouTube video version of this. Slide master, slide number 11. On February the 10th is the conjunction of the moon and Antares in the southeastern morning sky. Slide master, slide number 12. The moon will occult the planet Mercury on February the 18th. Remember, an occultation is when the moon moves in between the Earth and a more distant object like a planet or a star. Mercury will disappear behind the moon around 6:44 p.m. and reappear around 7:17 p.m. Again, these times are for the Brookhaven campus of Dallas College. Times will vary for other locations, and again, a pair of binoculars or a telescope will enhance your view of this event. Slide master, slide number 13, please. On February the 19th, in the early evening sky, there will be a conjunction of the moon and Saturn and Neptune. You'll need a telescope to see the planet Neptune. Nope, won't work with just pair of binoculars. Can't see with just your two eyes. But a telescope is needed to see the planet Neptune. Slide master, slide number 14. The minor planet Sirius, you'll need a pair of binoculars to see that. And the moon will be in conjunction in the evening sky on February the 20th. And just a preview of what's going on in March, there's going to be a total lunar eclipse. I believe that's on March the 3rd. We'll probably talk about that beginning next week on Skynet. And this is KF5JHA, and this is Skynet. And I'm your net control. Slide master, slide number 15. Now, do any of you out there in Radio Land have any questions or need a fill on any of the information I've given to you? Or maybe you just have a general astronomy question. Come now with your call sign if you have a question or need a fill. Sorry, I was writing down a new person on Skynet. He's over on Echolink. His name is Paul, K5CIP, I believe. Yeah, CIP. So Welcome to Skynet, Paul. Okay, let's see now. We have the next segment for Skynet in just a few moments. I didn't hear any questions or any comments that needed to be made. So slide master, slide number 16. So as the moon wanes next week, so do these words for this segment of Skynet. Stay safe, keep well, pray for our world. It's the only one where humans live. And until next time, I'll be doing another segment on Skynet in just a few minutes. Keep looking up so you know what's up. And this is Kilo Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel Alpha. And this is Skynet transmitting on the W5FC repeater, 146.88 megahertz. Skynet is also available on Echolink and YouTube. So let me see. We have our next segment. That's going to be done by Gus. Gus, are you ready to go with the next segment? It's all yours. This is KF5JJ.
Okay, Chaz, got it. Thank you. W5GUS here. Yes, space exploration news. We'll start off with a bang here, which has been mentioned before tonight. A powerful coronal mass ejection from our sun slammed into the Earth's magnetic field back on January 24th, a week ago, triggering spectacular aurora displays across the globe. The event raised concerns about potential disruptions to satellite communications and power grids, but although no major outages were reported. The CME, coronal mass ejection, serves as a reminder of our sun's powerful influence on our technological society and the importance of space weather forecasting. Scientists are using data from this event to better understand the dynamics of CMEs and improve our ability to predict their impact on Earth. And the January 25th, Rocket Lab company successfully launched its 80th Electron rocket, deploying the Neon Sat-1A satellite for the South Korean government. The mission, named Bridging the Swarm, is a technology demonstration for a new Earth observation satellite constellation. The NeonSat constellation will provide high-resolution imagery for applications such as disaster monitoring and environmental management. This launch highlights the growing demand for dedicated small satellite launch services and Rocket Lab's role in providing access to space for a variety of customers. Okay, and we'll talk about Artemis 2 again here. In a major step towards returning humans to the moon, NASA's Artemis 2 rocket has been rolled out to the launch pad at Kennedy Space Center. The massive Space Launch System, rocket, and Orion capsule are undergoing final preparations and a series of crucial fueling and countdown tests. The Artemis 2 mission will send 4 astronauts on a trip around the moon, which will be the first crewed lunar mission since the Apollo program. This mission will pave the way for future landings and a sustainable human presence on the moon. Okay, on January 28th this year, scientists using the James Webb Space Telescope have confirmed the existence of a galaxy named MOM Z14, which existed just 280 million years after the Big Bang. This discovery pushes the boundaries of the observable universe and provides new insight into the formation of the first galaxies. The galaxy is surprisingly bright, challenging current models of early galaxy formation and suggesting that the first stars may have formed much faster than previously thought. This finding opens up new avenues of research into the cosmic dawn and the reionization of the universe. Okay, and just yesterday, January 30th, 2026, researchers have definitely settled a long-standing debate by identifying an ancient Martian beach in Jezero crater. Data from the Perseverance rover revealed features consistent with wave-formed coastlines, indicating a sustained liquid water presence on Mars in the past. The study, led by scientists at Imperial College in London, analyzed bathtub ring features that had previously been viewed with skepticism. This discovery provides a more concrete target for scientists researching for signs of ancient life. It suggests that Jezero was once a dynamic environment with active shoreline processes. Interesting. All right, let's move to space-related birthdays. Okay, January 14th, 1933, Fred Hayes was on Apollo 13. Technically born January 14th, but often celebrated with the Apollo-era January group. He was the lunar module pilot for the famed Apollo 13 mission. All right, and then January 25th, 1921, Georgy Bergovy was born. He was a Soviet cosmonaut who received the Hero of the Soviet Union twice, award or decoration twice. He commanded the first manned flight of the Soyuz program to launch after the Soyuz 1 disaster. Okay, June 8th, Stan Love was born 1965. He was on STS-122. Although born in June, he was selected in a late January class. He is known for his work on planetary protection and asteroid redirection concepts. Okay, January 29th, Christina Koh was born. She was the longest single spaceflight by a woman award, slated to be the first woman to fly to the moon on what? Artemis 2, which is coming up. Another exciting moment. Okay, then next, January 31st, Wally Funk, 1939. He was a pioneer of the Mercury 13, who finally reached space at the age of 82 with Blue Origin, setting a record as the oldest woman in space. Okay, and also January 31st, but in 1932, Nikolai Rukavishnikov was born. He was on Soyuz 10, first civilian to command a Soviet space mission. He famously manually landed Soyuz 33 after a main engine failure. Wow. Okay, let's move to this week in space history. Okay, in his 1984, January 25, 1984, Ronald Reagan State of the Union address, President directed NASA to develop a permanently manned space station within a decade to maintain American leadership. He envisioned this project as a way to foster international cooperation and unlock the commercial potential of the final frontier. This speech marked the official birth of what would eventually evolve into the International Space Station. His directive emphasized that the station should be built with the help of other nations to ensure freedom of progress and hope. Today, this moment is remembered as a cornerstone of the ISS National Lab history and timeline. Okay, moving back a little farther in time, NASA, January 26, 1962, NASA launched the Ranger 3 probe with the ambitious goal of capturing the first close-up television images of the lunar surface. Unfortunately, things don't go as planned sometimes. A series of malfunctions in the Atlas rocket's guidance system gave the spacecraft too much speed, causing it to miss the moon only by about 22,000 miles. An additional onboard computer failure prevented the probe from pointing its antenna correctly, making any data retrieval nearly impossible. Although it failed its primary lunar mission, it provided the first measurements of interplanetary gamma-ray flux as it entered the heliocentric orbit. This mission served as a difficult but necessary lesson for NASA's future successful moon landings. Okay, in January 28, 1986, the nation and the world watched in horror as the Space Shuttle Challenger broke apart just 73 seconds after liftoff. The tragedy was caused by the failure of an O-ring seal in one of the solid rocket boosters, which allowed hot gas to escape and ignite the external fuel tank. All 7 crew members were lost, including Krista McCauley, who was to be the first teacher in space. The disaster led to a nearly 3-year hiatus in the shuttle program and a comprehensive investigation that resulted in significant changes to NASA's safety and management culture. The Challenger disaster remains a stark reminder of the inherent risks of space exploration. Okay, and on January 31st, 1958, the U.S. successfully launched its first satellite, Explorer 1, into orbit aboard a Juno 1 rocket. This event marked America's entry into the space race, just months after the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1 and 2. The satellite was designed and built by the Jet Propulsion Laboratory and carried a scientific instrument package that led to major discovery. Data from Explorer 1 revealed the existence of the Van Allen radiation belt, which is a zone of charged particles held in place by Earth's magnetic field. This discovery was a significant contribution to our understanding of the near-Earth space environment. And with that is the last item in this week's broadcast of this, so we'll return to control to Chaz, and looking forward to his jokes and Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week. Okay, Chaz, take it away. W5GUF.
Thank you so much, Gus. We really appreciate you doing that segment of Skynet. You've been doing that for the last several months, but Gus has been here since the beginning of Skynet. In 2012, I think he was one of the first guests on the first Skynet we ever had. So thank you, Gus, for taking on the role of a new presenter. Okay, let's see now. The next segment is Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week. Slide Master, slide number 17. Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week is named in honor of Silent Key, Carolyn, KC50ZT. Carolyn contributed to Skynet each week, almost from its beginning in 2012 until May of 2019, with a detailed look at one particular constellation each week. Since there are about 52 easily visible constellations seen in Texas throughout the year out of the 88 total number of constellations, so Miss Carolyn covered the entire sky as seen over Texas in a year. And in her honor, we've continued that tradition of a constellation per week and named this segment after her. Miss Carolyn's constellation of the week this week is one that all of you are familiar with. It's called Orion the Hunter. Orion is the mighty hunter in ancient Greek mythology. There are various stories connected with him. The best known is probably the story about how he was such a good hunter and boasted that he had dominion over all living things. Hera, or Juno in the Roman version of the story, sent a deadly scorpion to punish him for his arrogant pride, and the scorpion stung and killed him. Well, however, he was honored with being placed in the heavens, where you can see them on a clear, crisp winter night like tonight. Go out there and take a look. The scorpion was also honored and placed in the sky exactly opposite Orion in the sky as the constellation Scorpius, and with Orion rising as Scorpius sets, and vice versa, the two will never fight again. And this is KF5JHA, and this is Skynet. Flight Master, one of the most important parts of Skynet is coming up, the jokes of the week. Now, if you're on the video version of Skynet over on YouTube, or if you're on Echolink, you can make comments about these good jokes. I call them good jokes. Here we go. Orion's belt is a big waste of space. It only has a rating of 3 stars. Orion ordered a belt off Amazon. It wasn't to his liking, so he decided to leave it a review, and it reads, "This belt looks wonderful, but it doesn't fit well. I can't adjust it easily, so I only give it 3 stars." Okay. Those first 2 jokes were related, weren't they? What did Orion receive after losing a bullfighting competition? A Constellation prize. Orion appears to be fighting the bull, Taurus, the bull in the sky. Okay. Who's the worst superhero? Because Orion's supposed to be a superhero, right? So who's the worst superhero? Vacuum Man. He sucks. All right, that was a bad joke. If you want to learn how to draw superheroes, start with Groot from the Guardians of the Galaxy. He's just a stick figure. And the final joke, here we go. A supervillain said, "Why is my calendar wrapped up in aluminum?" And I said, "I foiled your plan." Slide Master, slide number 19. The bright star Betelgeuse, or Betelgeuse, it's also known as Alpha Orionis, is named from the Arabic meaning the armpit of the central one, or armpit of the mighty one. It's an armpit star, really? Betelgeuse is a magnitude 0.7 red supergiant star, a spectral class M2, and is believed to be about 520 light years away. It is so large that if it were placed where our sun is, it would swallow up the entire orbits of Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, and may reach almost out to the orbit of Jupiter. It is one of the largest stars known, and may be the largest naked-eye star that you can see. It is so large that even at its distance, we can perceive it as a little tiny disk instead of just a point source of light with our largest and best telescope. Because of this, sunspots have actually been detected on Betelgeuse. It is interesting that Orion's mortal enemy, Scorpius, has quite similar star, Antares. Antares, too, is a red supergiant and is believed to be only slightly smaller than Betelgeuse. Betelgeuse is an irregular variable star with a period of roughly 5.7 years, and its maximum and minimum vary from one pulsation to the next. It's been observed as a bright magnitude of 0.2 and is seen as 1.1 in magnitude. It also grows and shrinks significantly as it pulses. Just 2 years ago, well, actually just about 5 years ago, in 2020, it was at a deep minimum, about magnitude 1.37, which is the dimmest it's been in over 25 years. There is much conjectures, some even call it hype, that this could be the prelude to Betelgeuse going supernova. Remember, there was a task meeting on February 26, 2021. The featured speaker was Dr. Andrea Dupree, and she discussed Betelgeuse dimming and it was probably due to a dust cloud. Oh well, now it's back to its regular brightness. Slide master, slide number 20. Another bright star in Orion called Rigel. It comes from the old Arabic phrase that translates the left leg of the giant. It is a type B8 blue-white supergiant and is estimated to be about 900 light years away. Magnitude 0.14. It is the seventh brightest star in the sky. Rigel is a double star. The small bluish companion star is magnitude 6.7. Burnham's Celestial Handbook notes that it might be seen as a good 6-inch telescope if you want to look at it, and may even be glimpsed by a 3-inch telescope under ideal conditions. Since it was first measured in 1831, no change in position has been detected between Rigel and its companion. Alnitak is one of the stars in Orion's belt, means girdle, which is approximately where Alnitak is located in the easternmost part of the three stars that form Orion's belt. Alnitak is a blue-white star with a spectral classification straddling the border between an O and a B. It's either O9 or a B0 type star. The magnitude is 1.79 and is estimated to be about 1,600 light years away. It's a triple star system. Yep, 3 stars in one star system. Mintaka is also one of the belt stars. It's the westernmost of the 3 stars in Orion's belt. It is a widely separated double star system that is easily split. So this is one of the observing objects that we use at Brookhaven campus when we're doing our stargazing. I hope we can do that again soon. Mintaka's bright component is actually an eclipsing binary star. This is KF5JJ and this is Chaz. This is Skynet. Slide master, slide number 21. In Messier's catalog of objects, this is Messier object number 42. Much has been written and said about M42. It's called the Great Orion Nebula. It's one of the finest showpiece objects in all the sky. It was the first deep sky object that I tried to photograph back in the 1970s. Even though M42 is a bright emission nebula, it is one of the Dark Nebula Observing Club list as well, because it has intervening portions of the Dark Nebula on the northeastern portion of M42. It's called the Fish's Mouth. I've also seen this structure to refer to as the Dark Bay. Just beyond the deepest part of the Dark Bay lies our next object, the Trapezium star group. Slide master, slide number 22. The Trapezium, Theta 1 Orionis is also the name for it, is known as Theta 1 Orionis, and it is a multiple star system in the heart of the Great Orion Nebula. It is the ionizing ultraviolet radiation of these stars that causes the gas in the nebula to glow through fluorescence. You know fluorescence. Compact fluorescent tubes? Yep, you've got them, probably in your house, unless you replace them all with LED lights. The 4 brightest stars in the trapezium are fairly easy to see in just about any decent quality telescope. High-powered binoculars might be able to spot them too. The 4 brightest stars are referred to as letters A, B, C, and D. These 4 are ordered in right ascension and not in magnitude. The brightest star in group, star C, is magnitude 5.4. The faintest star is magnitude B, and it's 8th magnitude. There are more stars than these 4 stars, however. Star E was discovered in 1826 by F.G. Struve, and its 11th magnitude. Star F, also 11th magnitude, was found by John Herschel in 1830. Star G was discovered in 1888 by A.G. Clark with his 36-inch refractor at Lake Observatory. It's a very dim 16th magnitude. Finally, star H was discovered later the same year by Edward Emerson Barnard. EEB. H is actually a double star with 2 components separated by 1.3 arcseconds, and both are about 16th magnitude as well. G and H require a very large aperture telescope to see visually. Slide master, slide number 23. One more object, NGC 1981. It's an open cluster just above Orion's source. It is 1 degree north of the Great Orion Nebula M42. It's a loose, coarse cluster consisting of about 50 stars, with 6 of the stars being much brighter than the rest, in 2 curving rows of 3 stars each, and the eastern row being the brighter of the 2. Now, there's a lot of other astronomical objects in the constellation of Orion. One is the Horsehead Nebula. I haven't talked about that because it's kind of hard to see in telescopes. It's more of a photographic object. And this is KF5JJ, and this is Skynet. Slide master, slide number 24. There are a few more astronomical, actually several more astronomical observing program objects from the constellation of Orion the Hunter. I've given you just a sampling of some of those objects. The Astronomical League has, at last count, 96 different observing programs, most of which have about 100 objects. So, if you observe just 10 different objects in an observing program each month, then you can earn an observing certificate and a pin from the Astronomical League in about a year. Slide master, slide number 25. And that is Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week, Orion the Hunter. I want to thank my friends Dave Hutchinson and Dennis Harwell for the research and work on deep sky objects that I use, borrow, and steal for every Skynet. Yep, I do that. I also at times use the website constellation-guide.com for information. Now, next time we'll take a look at a rabbit. Yep, Lepus the hare. And this is KF5JJ, and this is Chaz. All right, let me see. That's the end of Constellation of the Week. Let me see, what do we have here? Oh, our next segment. Well, let's see if we have any more check-ins. I don't see any more check-ins on the electronic check-in. No. Al was the last one on there. And let me see on Echolink. Nope, no more people on Echolink. If you'd like to check in on Skynet for this evening, come now with your call sign, slowly, phonetically, and your name and your location. Okay, we're now at the astronomical questions and answers. Okay, do any of you out there have any questions about anything we've talked about, or maybe you just have a general astronomy question? Come now with your call sign and your name, and we'll see if we can find out that answer. My degree is in astronomy, astrophysics, and so maybe I can answer it. If not, somebody else on this net might be able to answer it. Come now with your call sign if you'd like to pose us a question. Stump the astronomer. Well, I don't see any more people checking in, and I've checked in. Let's see now, we've got 19 people on Skynet. So tonight we had 19 participating hams on the air. That's including myself. I want to thank all of you that checked into this evening's Skynet. We're ending a little bit earlier. This is amazing. We hope that you will join us next week and every Saturday night since 2012 at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration. On this net, the sky is just the beginning. It's not the limit. Okay. As always, we'll be looking for other net control stations for this net and for other Dallas Amateur Radio Club nets. If you'd like to try your hand at this, oh, come on, if I can do this, you can too. You can contact any one of the net controls by sending an email to net@w5fc.org. You can follow topics and discussions about this net and astronomy in general on the Facebook and X pages, as well as audio and video streams, video archives, and other useful information by going to the w5fc.org website at the conclusion of this net. So, until next Saturday night, this is Kilo Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel, Chaz, and I'll be closing this net at, wow, really? It's only 22:18, getting early. Local 5, and returning this repeater back to normal use. Don't forget, we have Afterglow movie coming up in about 8 minutes. 73, everybody, and enjoy discovering the universe. Tom, did you want to say a blurb about Afterglow movie?
Yes, we can do that. Yes, come back for the blockbuster film. What is this thing called? Dominion, The Last Star Warrior from 2015. Here at 10:30. So it's about 11 minutes from now. Come by, be there, be square. You don't even have to have seen the movie. We'll talk about it. You might actually enjoy it more by not seeing the film. But come on by, 10:30, KE5, I6. normal state.
I'm completely operational and all my circuits are functioning perfectly.
Afterglow movie net. Okay, well, it is indeed 10:30, and this is the normal starting time for tonight's Afterglow Movie Net. Tonight's movie is a fine stinker from 2015, that's 2015, 11 years ago, called Dominion, The Last Star Warrior. Have you heard of this film before? No. Have I heard of this film before? No. Do we need to hear about this film? No. But we're going to talk about it anyway and give it probably more attention than it ever deserved. I looked for Wikipedia and maybe a description of this film, but I couldn't find anything. So I had to go to the authoritative source. And a review done by Jordan and Eddie. Jordan and Eddie have a website. It's called jordanandeddy.com. And they've been reviewing movies for years. I even checked to see if the website was still active. And indeed, there is a movie that is listed and reviewed just last week. So Jordan and Eddie, maybe one or both of them, are still with us making reviews. So since I don't have a real description, I'm going to go ahead and read Eddie's review. Jordan apparently didn't go to see this film, only Eddie. So the title, Dominion, The Last Star Warrior, 2015. The director was Richard Lowry, who made a film called Rapture. The cast is Barry Lynch, Travis Hammer, Justine Joel, and Boo Boo Stewart. Yes, that's his name, Boo Boo Stewart. And if you're into, what do they call that, the Twilight series, Boo Boo was in that as, I think, a werewolf or something. I don't know. I've never seen the series, but I do know who Boo Boo is. Boo Boo is about 12 years old and executive produced this movie. That should give you an idea. The plot, such as it is in 5 days, the world as we know it will come to an end, and UFO investigator Robert Casey Lynch and other worldly being Jellen Hammer will work together to find Jellen's human love interest before it's too late. The tagline for this movie is, "No one will be spared." I think they were talking about the audience. I hope I identified myself. KE5ICX Tom. I'm down in Corpus. So here it is. Review by Eddie on April 19th, 2018. Released in certain territories around the world in 2015, Dominion, The Last Star Warrior is a rough, raw, and ridiculous sci-fi experience that at its core harbors an interesting idea, but in inception delivers a tiresome and dialogue-heavy offering that is anchored down by bargain bin worthy delivery and a convoluted plot that is far too high-reaching for director Richard Lowry's 80-minute feature. And if I was being honest, Dominion is almost, and I mean really close to being, oh so bad it's good event, but thanks to its inability to instill itself in any sort of energy or heat, Lowry's poorly executed effort becomes harder to bear than the runtime clicks ever so slowly onward. After an initially intriguing setup, you feel like it's possible this could be tolerable low-budget theft fare, but after an extended opening credits period, Dominion starts to fall fairly quickly off the rails as its plot line becomes more apparent and increasingly tiresome. Centering around Barry Lynch's retired U.S. intelligence agent turned UFO investigator Robert Casey and his dealings with Travis Hammer's Jellin, a human-like being from another planet who's operating as an observer on our planet, and tells Casey about the unfortunate impending doom of Earth in 5 days. Dominion does have the bare bones of a decent story, but it never allowed to grow in Lowry's poorly delivered and badly acted tale. When you throw in the laughably bad love story between Jolin and the woman he fell in love with while on Earth, and a bunch of other worldly races and beings that we never really get to know much about, poor old Dominion never really stands a chance in a day and age where consumers expect a certain amount of quality control and performances with a pulse. And he finally says, a final say, for the most tolerant and sci-fi obsessed moviegoer, Dominion may provide some type of entertainment for 80 minutes, but for the rest of us, this shoddy and raw feature is an extremely tough viewing experience. Not as bad as Jetstream, the worst movie ever made, or The Creeping Terror, another terrible film. The terror is in the name. As in terrible. He gave it a half star, a long opening credit sequence out of 5. That's all it says. And yeah, the opening credit sequences is like 10 minutes long. Why? I have no idea. And it's got music that doesn't even match it. But we'll get into that. I don't want to get too far ahead. Okay, I've totally beaten down your morale. So now comes the time where we get to talk about this film. So I'm going to take your call sign name and where you're transmitting from and ask you, well, you don't have to tell me where you're transmitting from. Just let me know if you saw the movie or not. And if you haven't seen the film, that's okay. We will still add you to the conversation and see if you dare ask you after our own reviews if you really want to see this movie. So there's a reason to check in even if you didn't see it. So let's begin. Please come to your call sign name. Did you see tonight's movie? What the hell is this thing called again? Dominion, The Last Star Warrior. Come on, I know you're lurking out there. You want to talk about this film, I know you do.
Well, I don't remember much about it or the characters, but I will talk about it. W5FC Bill Garland. Yes, I saw this horrible movie.
November 5, Bravo, Bravo, Bill and Irving. I did not see it, and after your description, I don't want to see it. So I might listen, but I definitely don't have anything to say, Tom. Sorry. Inside BB. Plus, I'm tired. I've done way too much stuff today. Inside BB.
November, Victor 5, Foxtrot, Virginia. Yes, I saw this movie.
Kilo, Bravo 90, Kilo, Sean Fort Worth. Yes, I did see this film.
Okay, well, that's a start. We have W5DLT, Bill and Garland. Bill, you're kind of scratchy into the repeater. That's unusual for you. Just to let you know that. He says in the affirmative he has seen that film, seen our film tonight, but I don't think he was very impressed or remembers much. I feel your pain. Next up is N5BB, Bill and Irving. He did not see the film, nor does he want to see it. Nor does he want to acknowledge its existence. Well, none of us do, including probably the director. I may or may not come back to you, but I've got you down as having not seen the movie. ND5F Virginia. She disgustingly said yes, she saw the film in a disheartened tone. KB9SOK Sean in Fort Worth, he said yes, he saw the film. I think he's wondering and recontemplating some of his life choices, including this film. Anyone else want to check in? Tonight's movie, Dominion, The Last Starfighter from 2015. Please come now. All right, I suspected crickets on this one. Now, please bear in mind, when we pick these films, or I pick these films, it's up to you. If there's something you want to see, to let me know. I will put it on the list, and then we'll go find it. We can find it for free. If there's silence and no discussion or input, I have to pick a movie. And I don't watch or preview these things ahead of time. We've seen all the goodies before, and occasionally I'll throw one in just because, hey, we need something good once in a while. But every once in a while we get a decent film. Last week we had a decent film. This week we don't have. We have an indecent film in so many ways. So I didn't preview either one. So that's the name of the game. And as we all know, science fiction has a way of going downhill quickly, crashing in a giant meteoritic way. Can you make a verb out of meteor? I think you can somehow. Meteoric way. Okay, let's go ahead and start with Bill, W5DLT. What did you think about the plot, or what you remember, if anything, from the movie Dominion, The Last Star Warrior? Please go ahead.
Well, I went back to the ham shack because I was out on the chair with my handheld, and usually it does okay, but it did not tonight, so maybe something with the weather. Oh, this horrible film. Well, yeah, I saw it. George Lucas is a genius. I take back everything bad I said about the, what is that TX 1138 or whatever it was called. This movie, I don't know, I wanted to like it because it had narration at the beginning, but we all know that can be a bad thing because then they try to just narrate real quick and give you some information and throw you right in the middle of a disaster. And we got like 5 days before these, are they Sarconians? I forget what they are, those aliens that were supposed to invade Earth and wipe everybody out. And I said this last night, there's only one thing worse than an invading alien, and that's a cowardly alien that just leaves you as you're being invaded by mean aliens. And that's what we got in this one. You know, Earth is going to get wiped out, and there's people that know about, or aliens, other aliens that know about it from other planets, and they just decide to take off and leave Earth getting destroyed. Oh, and the ending was horrible, and I don't know if I want to give it away or not, but yeah, it was just I thought a train wreck. I enjoyed the references to Kenny Rogers. I couldn't remember which one that you guys said looked like Kenny Rogers. I don't know anybody that looks like Kenny Rogers myself, but then I've never seen Kenny Rogers either. So as a blind guy, I guess I can't really comment on that. I'd have to look up who these characters were again. I know that there was a good alien who, when his planet, his friends or whoever was with him left, he stayed behind and supposed to help out the main hero. And there was a baby that was born, I think, between this alien and the Earth girl or lady that he knew. But I didn't care about anybody in this movie. The plot, it just didn't excite me, and I was going to go last so I could remember these names because I was hoping you guys would all go first, and then I could just piggyback off of it, and now I can't. And now I'm out here on a limb. But yeah, Earth gets wiped out, and this movie should have been wiped out from the very beginning, and but unfortunately it had more than 5 days to get completed, and it got completed, and we got to see it. W5BLT, back to you, Tom.
All right, thank you, Bill. Well, yeah, what can I say? Well, yeah. What do you do with this thing? Well, I've got my comments, and I got a bunch of them about how stupid this movie was, but we'll get to that in a moment. Okay, I'm going to skip over Bill because Bill didn't even want to see the film. So go to Virginia, NV5F. Good, Virginia. You watched the film. You took note. You have an opinion. What do you feel about the plot for our fine film tonight from JE5ICX?
Well, I appreciate your faith in me, but I didn't take notes. So, gosh. Well, it did start with a really intense gas station scene that did have the weird, they were trying to build some kind of tension with this guy this Robert guy. He's the guy who looks like Kenny Rogers. People were obviously someone was after him, and he was going to meet someone, and it was this guy who's an alien who looks like a human who had information to give him, I guess, on his way out of town. Or his people were on their way out of town, but he wanted to go find his girlfriend, who turns out was pregnant with his baby, even though she didn't want to see him once he said he wasn't from Earth, but then they got back together, and that's all told in flashback. There's a lot of flashbacking in this, lots of jumping back and forth, so it could be hard to tell. And even the beginning of it was weird. It started with, I guess, a flash way forward into the future, and it doesn't seem to even, coincide with how this went or how it ended. So I almost feel like maybe I should go back and see the beginning of it again to see if I can figure out how that all connected to the rest of it. I don't know. The plot was, you could understand it, mostly. There were sequences that were okay. I didn't really like the, hey, we're the nice aliens that have been here all along, kind of watching over you guys, because apparently the bad aliens had people, disguised as humans, like millions and millions of people on Earth for a long, long time, and it turns out all the major governments of the world are run by these aliens, or else if they're not aliens, the deep state, I guess, is formed by humans that are sellouts who are in cahoots with the bad aliens. So it turns out that that's what the Illuminati and all that stuff really is, like all the deep state, kind of stuff. It's all just based on these aliens that have been setting Earth up to basically deliver it into the hands of their, people who are on their way. And now the aliens have been trying to keep the people safe or guard us or watch us or observe us. I don't know. They're the nice guys and they have all this tech, but they somehow don't have any weapons and they can't help, so they're like, hey, we're out. Because there's a ship on its way. It's like at Jupiter or Saturn or something when the movie starts, and then, it's going to be at Earth in 5 days, so their rescue ships come get them. But the one guy who is in touch with Robert stays behind, and he's trying to find his girlfriend, and Robert's trying to save the world, and Robert kind of falls, kind of becomes empathetic towards him and wants to help him, and makes a fake deal with the bad guys because they've captured, it's all this conspiracy theory stuff, and, I mean, there's sequences in it that I really like, I really kind of, liked the main character. I cared about him. I guess that's more round 2 kind of stuff. The plot was, like I said, you could understand it. I'm not sure who the last Star Warrior was. I don't think it was the guy. Maybe it was, no, I don't know. That's the part I'm having trouble with is who's the Star Warrior in this movie. It has a halfway decent, bittersweet ending, I guess, because Robert, takes the fall to make the deal to help, I can't remember his name, and him and Alyssa, his girlfriend, they've taken her baby, but that she and him are still going to leave, and Robert helps save them by sacrificing himself and making a deal with the aliens who are dumb enough to think that he would actually sell out all of Earth to save his own butt, but he at the very end he pulls the trigger on the big download that's gonna rock the whole world by exposing all of this, and there's lots of uploading and downloading and files and people in the desert and an Indian with a horse, and he ends up getting killed, and so it's really, it's still that nihilistic sort of grim thing that I don't really like, but I did like the Kenny Rogers looking guy. He turned out to be a pretty interesting guy, and anyway, it was weird. I could follow it. I did care how it ended. It wasn't the worst thing we've ever watched. It was just, and it wasn't really, it was only 80 minutes. It really wasn't too long. I'm not giving it a good review, but it wasn't really, absolutely deplorable. You could watch it and follow it, and you did it was paced, the editing and the pacing was okay, and yeah, there was a lot of talking and dialogue and exposition and stuff, but it had a complicated plot. It kind of needed that. So it was okay. It was not great. I don't want to see it again, but yeah, I liked Kenny Rogers guy. Back to net in V5F.
All right, thank you, Virginia. And you were talking about characterization. That's the next section. You like the Kenny Rogers guy. So, yeah. Okay, that was the Robert Casey character, the UFO investigator who can sing, too, apparently. Okay, next up is Sean, KB9SOK. Sean, your turn. Clock. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is KB9SOK. Well, yeah, the plot was a mess. Virginia hit on the biggest two plot issues. First of all, it's the title of the movie. who's fighting? There's nobody fought. Not really. There was no starfighter. So that was a complete joke. And then the other thing, the beginning, I too was kept expecting them to explain it. I mean, it's obvious what they showed, that somebody discovered Earth apparently many years after we were destroyed or killed. But then they talked about finding this underground vault that had people preserved there. But how did that happen? Because after all, we only had 5 days to prepare for this. We don't have that kind of technology. That made absolutely no sense. And then at the end of the movie, we found out that the 12 million that survived were taken to another planet. So, okay. Yeah. Now this thing was just like a whole bunch of smorgasbord of little tiny plots from other movies. It almost felt like, in a way, watching an episode of Ancient Aliens. It's like, what can we pull out? Oh yeah, the moon's not real. It's just a projection. It's really aliens up there watching us. Every kind of conspiracy theory you can think of, this movie had it. Oh, we have aliens that's running our government. They're in charge of everything. Well, as we've talked about before about these kind of invasion movies, aliens, if they really wanted to wipe us out, wouldn't mess with all that. They'd just simply release some kind of plague that killed us all. They wouldn't waste their time and energy to invest millions of their people to take over our governments. No, complete garbage. Made no sense at all. It's like every little tiny plot from other movies, let's just shove it in there. It has to do with aliens. And why is it in every alien movie? I mean, apparently our writers must think a lot of it because the aliens always fall in love with us every time. It was just like a whole bunch of things crammed into a movie that, yes, this wasn't, the worst thing we've ever seen, but it was pretty bad, though. It almost felt like it was made by the same people that made Jetstream. Kind of had that look and feel cheap, like it was just cheap. Like somebody took their handy cam and filmed this thing. I didn't care for this plot at all. It was, just one conspiracy after another, and it just had a very poor ending. I guess, well, Tom, this is one of your dreams. You always want everybody to die. Well, this time literally everybody died. So, this was just not a very uplifting plot here. It's like, they just threw everything in. We had our conspiracy guy investigating, and his family no longer wanted to do nothing with him because he was using aliens. We have our, I don't remember their names, the Indian guy that, basically we had to throw there for the spiritual part. We had our government agents. It was just, I don't know. And then, we had this alien that was supposedly cared about us but didn't really. Just was after his girlfriend. I guess he did give the data to help us, but I don't know. It was just a very, I thought, a poor plot. And, probably the most likable probably was Kenny Rogers, as we've nicknamed him. I think somebody, I don't remember who said last night, had made the comment that maybe Kenny Rogers would challenge him to a game of poker and play for the Earth. And that probably would have been a much better plot, quite honestly. Anyway, I don't have a whole lot to say about this one. It wasn't the worst, but I'm not watching it again. Back to that, KB9S, okay.
All right, thank you, Sean. Well, you said more than I could even remember from the film, so I took some notes which helped me along the way. Okay, well, I'm going to open it up and see if anyone else would like to join us this evening. Tonight's movie is Dominion, The Last Star Warrior from 2018. If this sounds like your kind of movie, or you've got a better one that you would like to talk about instead, now's your opportunity to check in. Please come now with your call sign name. Did you see Dominion, The Last Star Warrior? Boy, how did I guess there would be no takers? That's amazing. I have such clairvoyant capabilities. All right, well, I'll make my comments about the film. Yeah, the good news was it was only 80 minutes long. You're right, didn't have to sit and stare at the watch the entire time. It did have decent pacing, which was okay. The opening wasn't bad. The warning signs, and I mentioned this in the chat last night when some of us were watching the movie, is that anytime there's narration in a movie, you can be guaranteed this thing is going to probably not be good, or it could be better. When you have to explain to your audience what's going on, it means there's some sort of deficiency on screen. In this case, action and story. Nothing's happening if we talk about it. And then long exposition, where we talk about what we knew and why. We get dropped into this story, and then we're told about the stuff that happens up front. And then I didn't know that was in the future. I thought it was in the past, that opening sequence with the people wandering the desert. So it kind of had no purpose in the movie anyway. You could have just started without it. But then it wouldn't be 80 minutes long. It'd be 70 minutes long, and that's like a TV episode almost. So maybe that's why they stuck it in there. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah. So the motivation is, we got 5 days left, and the world's coming to an end, and the great protectorates just leave. They beat feet out of town. Thanks, protectorates. Why are you even here? And then they leave, and then they come back and pick up the last of the remnants of mankind. Thanks, bud. Nice help. You guys are really great. Am I going to trust you again? No, not at all. But at least they've got Earth. The bad guys, which seem to act actually a little more rationally, but then they screw up in the end. At least they get the planet Earth. We get stuck on some planetoid somewhere else with weird water. So, interstellar aliens, as we all know, the interstellar aliens are ones that can accomplish interstellar travel, but have brain disorders. They do stupid things. If you ever watched Earth Final Conflict, the Tarons, or whatever the hell they were called, with the big heads and the long, creepy fingers and the weird dresses or something that they wear, they kept losing their technology every week on this TV show. And they needed the FBI people to, find the technology every single week. Why don't they put tags on that stuff? If they can travel all the way to Earth, across the galaxy, how come they can't make simple things like locking up their weapons, or their thought devices, or their anti-gravity devices, or their invisibility screens, or their interstellar travel, or their self-lighting cigarettes? Whatever it is they lose it regularly every week. Talk about idiots. Boy, if I had a performance review for people, that'd be it. Well, these aliens are no frickin' different. They are exactly the same way. First off, we have the idiot guy who was given a USB no less, with all the information about where all the secret bases are and where to find them and how to find them. And it's on this stupid USB. It must be a 1.0, because most of the movie they're trying to upload this thing to the world's slowest website. It goes on and on and on. They get attacked by the FBI, CIA, MOUSC, whatever they are, and it's uploading. And we've got to go visit the base, and it's still uploading. It's never finished. I don't think they ever finished the upload. I'm pretty sure it never happened, because we never saw it finishing. That is one thing. And then the deal. Let me reset. You don't want me to tell you, the attack is going to be a complete surprise. It's going to be a complete surprise. And we don't want that told to the people of Earth, because they'll come after us. They were going to go and dissect our main character, whatever his name is, Casey. They're going to dissect him and the gal, and take the kid, the pregnant kid, and all sorts of crap that they were going to do. Really nasty, because they were mean. And boo-boo ahead of all of that. Who could have imagined Boo-Boo doing that to Earth people? Jeez. But at any rate, so they may strike a deal. Okay, I won't tell them about the about the uploads. They're holding it so that they can keep me alive. Well, nobody cares. In 5 days, it's all coming to an end anyway. Why are you making a deal with this dummy? I mean, in 5 days, it's okay. Oh, they're going to shoot at us. You've got an invisibility screen. How are they going to find you? They don't know where it is. Yeah, they've got that. They've got records, but nobody knows if any of that stuff's real. And if it's like today's FBI, it'll take them forever to get through, one document. And then they can't even look at that document right. And I want to go there. I don't think they're any better in this movie either. They don't know what the hell they're doing. So then, in the thing, he decides he's going to get even. The alien and his girlfriend end up getting free for whatever reason. I don't know. But that was the deal, so he wouldn't have the stuff uploaded and then sent to everybody in the world, so that they would get the bad aliens would get attacked on Earth before the invasion takes place. And he takes it. He says, "Go ahead and launch," which means to do that. Oh no! And Boo-Boo and company go, "What? You really did that? Nothing to frickin' lose. Why not do it? And trick the interstellar aliens and at their own game. I mean, come on, they're supposed to be ruthless, and they've manipulated governments, and they've got everything under control and infiltrated, and they make a dumb deal with this guy that, what's he got to lose? Of course he's going to double-cross him. So that didn't make any sense. And then, of course, the only thing that looks halfway decent are these 3D special effects that they're using for the spaceships and the planets. That looked good. And wandering around the New Mexico desert for a while was okay with sunrises and sunsets. I don't know what the hell is going on or why. I get the feeling, though, that when we have these different characters that don't really mesh, that they had a story and they ran out of actors or money or both, so they just kind of like glued it all together in a weird haphazard way in hopes that people would say this is a movie, which is probably why it's only 80 minutes long. They needed a real plot, or they had more that they wanted to do but ran out of money. The typical, we're out of cash, folks, we got to put this out and try and redeem whatever we can. So that's kind of how I felt about it. Just never really meshed. They had the ability to make it a decent film, although, and we'll get into the music. The music was completely out of step in this movie. It made no sense. It's like needle drop almost. It was random what they used for music, which wasn't bad, but that's another round. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. Weird, strange film, but reminded me a lot of Earth's Final Conflict. Okay, we'll go ahead and try and run another round here, this one on characterization, which there wasn't much, so this should go blazingly fast. We'll start with Bill, W5BLT. Bill, what did you think of characterization? I think you alluded to some of it, but please continue from KD5ICX.
Well, thank you, Tom. As I said, I didn't care about anybody, but, I suppose Robert, we had the baby that was born, right? I'm glad for the 12 million people that got off Earth. That was, they were probably my favorite characters. Hopefully they will rise up and wipe out the aliens, those invaders, those pesky aliens that took over Earth. I think I'm, talking about the plot on this movie, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the girlfriend and the alien were tied together somehow telepathically, and then the bad aliens were able to track them. I know that's not characterization, but it's just one of those things. There was a lot going on, plot or story-wise, where they just threw in all those things like Sean alluded to. Yeah, I didn't really have any favorite characters in here. I just couldn't get into it, and I don't know if it was just the mood I was in, or I try to give movies a chance. I love the really bad 50s and 60s science movies. So I think I expect strange things from that era. I didn't expect that going into this movie. And maybe I got taken by surprise. Maybe if I had expected this to be weird and strange and a bad plot, I would have loved it. But there it is. Not a lot to say. Sorry about that. Back to you, Tom, W5BLT.
Okay, Bill. Yeah, I know. What do you say about these people? And except that the happy note is that they all died. So I'm good with that. Okay, next up, Virginia, ND5F. Virginia, your thoughts on characterization such as it was from KE5 ICX. Uh-oh, we may have our first casualty of the evening. Virginia, ND5F, are you out there? All right, we'll come back to Virginia in a bit. She may have stepped away. Sean, TV9SOK, your thoughts on characterization, such as the characterization is. Well, let's see if, now I see Echolink and all Starlink, so there is a signal coming back. So it's not me. Anyone out there?
It sounds like every transmission you're doubling to somebody. So I don't know what's going on. All Starlink is doing some weird, I guess. 5dB. North York, Virginia.
Yeah, I heard it doubling too when you spoke, Bill. So I'm not sure. So let's see at this point. Anyone want to respond to that?
Yeah, you're very difficult to understand from. I heard you say that you heard the doubling, but the other interference is so bad it's kind of hard to understand you. I have no idea what's happening. Can you get in some other method like Echolink? This is in 5dB.
And of course, and I don't remember I hate to stereotype the Indian character. I don't remember his name. I mean, he was okay, I guess, but he kind of played the typical part. So I guess really it was just your stereotypical movie. As you kind of alluded to earlier, Tom, maybe they ran out of money, maybe there were supposed to be more characters. There really wasn't. That was pretty much it. That was our 4 characters, and that was pretty much it. I mean, we met one alien from another race that it gave them some information, but refused to help, so I don't know the whole point of that interexchange. It was just to say they were another alien race, but, they looked just like us too. So I don't know. That was completely a waste of time. Other than gave them an excuse to leave the hotel room. Yeah, no, I don't have a whole lot to say on this round either, unfortunately. So yeah, back to that. KB9SOK.
Okay, that was interesting. You came through fine. There was a double with Bill, but I heard that earlier. How do I sound right now?
You sound okay, Tom. This is Inside BB, except you have this common thing that occurs late in the net. There's this little weird sound that comes through. It sounds like a power supply problem. Other than that, you sound fine. Inside BB.
All right, well, I'll see what I can do after the net, probably tomorrow or something. I don't have the most optimal setup here where I'm at, but I'll look into it. There was definitely a double there, and it sounded like a double originally, and then you and Sean were on at the same time, and it sounded like a classic double, and then you disappeared, and he came through clear as a bell. So I don't know, maybe we were communicating and transmitting exactly at the same time. I'm sure that's entirely possible, but it seems to, whatever mystery thing it was, it corrected itself. So acknowledge Sean's comments and agree. My comments about the acting is pretty much, the characters, and I agree with it. I echo what Sean said, is that really the characters, we only have a couple of aliens and some henchmen there that we don't really learn much about. We don't get much from the story except from the narrative that we get both at the beginning and at the end, and it just kind of fell flat. I mean, if you're going to do something like this, I suppose, I don't know, we have more action. I guess maybe if you're going to do tropes, alien invasion tropes, then make the aliens somehow special or different or more capable or something. There was always hooks that we had. I remember the Invaders series, which was one of the first to do this UFO thing, and it was really more about, the Cold War. It's a reflection of the Cold War, but the aliens, it set it apart. The aliens would disintegrate, and they had very adept at covering up scenes and that, and abducting people and being very clever with the way they went about doing it, and the insidious plot and their progression through the series really kind of worked. It was a little hokey in places, but it did manage to work. Same thing with D, had that. The aliens were showing some intelligence and design in how they were going about doing it, and they had a plan. Although both of those shows couldn't sustain it, because how long are you going to have the invasion? Forever and ever? Amen? Series without end, and then it would stall out. Or it would get ridiculous. And then, of course, I told you about Earth Final Conflict, which was just ridiculously bad. I don't care if it had Gene Roddenberry's name on it or not. That show was almost unwatchable. I considered it technically a comedy when I watched it. Anyway, that was that. Anything else? No. Unsympathetic characters. I didn't care about Nolan or whatever his name was, or his girlfriend. I didn't care about our UFO investigator. Casey, he was probably the most interesting of the bunch, but even he was somewhat kind of, I don't know, I don't care. And he says, he tells the front desk, watch the person in the room for me. What the hell does that have to do with the price of tea in China? That would be the first thing to get me to go and call the cops, because I don't trust this guy. And we don't know he's a U.S. government agent. He used to be one, but he didn't flash a badge or anything, so I'm going to think he's a creep. And I'm going to call, Vice Squad, or I'm going to call the local cops, which I'm sure they have, and come in and do a little visit and see what the hell is going on. So that made no sense. Dumb. I mean, you would think a guy who is FBI or Secret Service or whoever the hell he was, he would know that. But no, I'm going to come in and talk into my sleeve and say, don't tell anybody I'm here. I'm on a secret mission, idiot. So, and the real FBI or whatever it is, that secret organization, that's the government organization, and the black RVs, SUVs, weren't very smart either. And nobody seemed overly worked up about the fact that all those agents got killed, including the one in cold blood. That didn't exactly make the UFO investigator look good. So unsympathetic characters. I'll just summarize with that. Okay, we'll go ahead and stumble through final round. Anything you want to talk about? Starting with Bill, W5BLT. You got it. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know that I can really add anything. The music was kind of strange. I didn't really remember anything about it except, the ending, I think. Special effects, well, I mean, it sounded okay. The dialogue, you could hear everybody in the dialogue. I don't know what it looked like, but I think they used a lot of, was it CG and things in it? So I can't comment on that, on the visual effects. I think that's the sad part of the movie. Everything was clear. You could clearly hear everything, and I think they could have really done some things with it. Maybe had they not tried to cram so much stuff in it and given us a little more background so that we cared about the characters. It's not memorable because you couldn't hear the dialogue. Everything was very good at that. I don't remember the music as being... I know, I think you guys, somebody said it didn't fit. That's how bad this movie was. I couldn't even tell you that a song stuck out. Except know when to hold them and know when to walk away and know when to run. Because, when the aliens are coming, you gotta run. I don't really have anything on the music. I have to go back and listen to it again. W5BLT, back to net control.
All right, thank you, Bill. Yeah, I know you're kind of at a disadvantage, but I will agree with you. I'm going to interject this because I do definitely agree with you. I think the sound was just fine. I watched Star Trek Starfleet Academy today, the Paramount Plus on demand thing, and the audio was a good episode. I will say that, which was a surprise to me. It was really a very good episode, but the sound was just horrible. I'm trying to understand that. Everybody's got an accent anyway. That's one thing, but the sound was muffled as though they had broken microphones or something. I don't understand that. I can go watch an old Star Trek or old episodes of shows from 1970s and earlier, and it's much clearer and easier to understand. Anything newer than that, and it's a struggle, and this one was particularly bad. So having a contemporary film or a reasonably new film with decent sound is kind of a surprise, or let's put it this way, intelligible sound, something that you can understand, that you can recognize the words on their own merit. So I'll say that. Okay. Virginia, I hope you're there, ND5F, if you're still there. This is our final round, but you can talk about anything you'd like, including characterization. We missed you last time. If you're there, go right ahead. Okay, I don't really blame her. This is not a very good film. Okay, Sean, KB9SOK, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is KB9SOK. Yeah, I agree with the audio. Yeah, that was the one, I guess you want to say positive movie. Everybody was understandable. The sound effects didn't overdrive people speaking. The music didn't. And we kind of touched on this last week, too, how annoying that is when that happens. And, Tommy, I ran the same thing. Last weekend, I watched the first 2 episodes of Star Trek Academy, and I was struggling to understand them at times. And it was just horrible audio. I agree. It was pretty horrendous. I didn't watch the last 2 episodes, because I thought the first two, quite honestly, I thought were pretty bad. So maybe it sounds like the show does improve. Maybe I'll give it another chance. But yeah, all these movies, you know, and I've even got a surround system, and I, you know, tried to select the proper audio settings so the speakers are balanced out, and then, you know, you're supposed to hear the people through the center channel, but yet they're still drowned out. So then I found myself cranking up the center channel, you know, then it doesn't sound balanced. It's frustrating, the new shows. It is so hard to hear them. But yeah, this movie, that was the one positive. I could hear everything, and so that was good. As far as the special effects, yeah, you know, we had a few pictures of alien ships, but they're on par with what people do on YouTube. I wouldn't say there's anything really special. It looked like something from, you know, maybe 15 years ago on Sci-Fi Channel. That's kind of the special effects. I mean, I got the point across. Once again, I'm guessing this was super low budget. So at the end of the day, I can live with special effects that aren't great if it's got a good story. In fact, I'd rather them spend the money on the story and the actors, and it's okay if the effects aren't the greatest, or, you know, they got to take liberties there. But yes, maybe that's where the whole budget went, is what little effects they had. Yeah, the music, I don't remember anything specifically, but I do remember at the beginning of the movie thinking the music was a little odd, and that's kind of the last I remember. If there's more music as it went on, I really don't remember it. So yeah. So yeah, no, I don't have much else to say about this movie. It wasn't the worst, but it was pretty far down there, and won't be watching this one again. And as always, looking forward to the next one. And yeah, Tom, we do appreciate you picking out the movies. I know it's hard, you know, not knowing what they are. And there's so much of these B or C level movies. It's hard to tell what's good without watching them. So yeah, I don't know how you find them all, but you do. I have looked around for some movies I'd like for us to watch, but I can never find them for free. So I keep looking. One of the days I'll throw out a suggestion. But anyway, that's all I got. Back to net. KB9S, okay.
All right, thank you, Sean. Thanks for your comments this evening. I was going to follow up with what you said. Thank you for your comments, because your rigmarole that you do with trying to balance out the multi-channel sound is exactly what I go through all the time. I have a Nakamichi system, which is a very nice system, high-end actually, and I cannot get that thing balanced on a lot of contemporary stuff. Every once in a while I'll get a decent movie where it's well balanced, but that's the exception, not the norm. And this stuff should work really well, and I've been very disappointed. I've tried it on other systems, and even I had an older system at home at the house that I used, which it worked and it was fine, but I couldn't bring it with me here to Corpus. I had to do something different. But even with that, I don't know, it was still somewhat difficult to understand. So PCM system and Dolby Digital, it's top-of-the-line stuff, and it just does not always sound very good. And Starfleet Academy was just terrible last night. I listened to it and I said, the voices are muffled. It just sounded like a busted speaker, you know, how it kind of buzzes. That's what it felt and sounded like. You know, I thought maybe it's my hearing, but no, I don't think so. I think there's just something with it. Let's see, special effects-wise, nothing really to report. They did a lot of green screen stuff that you could tell it was obvious. It was kind of two-dimensional. A lot of that has improved remarkably over the last few years, so I can't give them a lot of static because this movie is more than a decade old. So to expect something more, I don't. It looked okay at the beginning. As far as photography and that, it was fine. There was some suspenseful moments with the completely, I don't understand what's going on, FBI raid, or CIA, or MOUSE, or whatever the organization is that's coming in. That was somewhat suspenseful, although it ended kind of flat. So it had sort of the bones of a good movie, but it never really went anywhere. The special effects are to be expected at that time. today, I would expect a lot more from them. So I'll give them a pass on that. Ultimately, the story beginning, middle, and end was thin, and even at 80 minutes, they were pushing it. They should have scoped this thing out as more of a thriller, maybe in the genre, in the vein of, say, the X-Files. There were a lot of X-Files episodes where nothing happened. There was a lot of dialogue, but it was important. You had to pay attention because it had to do with how they were planning and proceeding with their plans and how Scully and Mulder were interfering and how their lives were in danger because of it. So there was always tension in those shows, but the conspiracy shows worked more often than they did not, although they had some clunkers themselves. Watch the Brady Bunch episode, or the Cops episode, see what I mean by that. They really did have a Brady Bunch episode and a Cops episode. Okay, with that, I'm going to call it done. This turkey is now done. The movie I'm going to recommend, I'm going to double check it. It's from 1999 called The 13th Floor. This is a commercially produced film. I forget who's in it, but it's actors you'll recognize, so it's not an amateur production. It did get some medium to good reviews. Called 13th Floor from 1999. I'll go ahead and ask. I forgot to ask if anybody had any final comments. I'll open it up since we are leaving about a half hour early on this. Does anybody have any final comments they want to make before I close the net? Okay, it's one of those let them eat static moments. We'll see y'all here next week. Same bat time, same bat station. I will send this information out sometime tomorrow, probably in the morning. Everyone stay warm. I've got a doctor's appointment up in Dallas. I'll be up in Dallas Tuesday and then back home Wednesday. So I don't know, maybe I have dinner or something with folks, but just mentioned it'll be up there. It'll be cold, from what I understand. We were in the 30s, low 30s this morning, so, and it was windy, a little windy, not bad, but a little on the cool side. So that cold weather has been hitting all over the U.S., including all the way down here, but not quite as bad as in Dallas. So 7-3, everybody, have a good evening. We'll see you again here, same bat time, same bat station next week. It's KE5ITX, clear for now.